In the beautiful game, teamwork is everything. Players and managers, united in victory, divided by defeat. But sometimes, that partnership breaks. Egos clash, tempers rise, and football's brightest stars find themselves at war with the very people meant to guide them. This is the story of when footballers fight their managers, and how those battles changed everything. Part 1: The Fragile Relationship. Football is built on emotion. The manager demands discipline. The player demands freedom. And between those two worlds lies a fragile balance. Managers are leaders, tacticians, and psychologists. Players are artists, performers, and sometimes rebels. When visions collide, even the best teams can fall apart. From dressing room arguments to public fallouts, these feuds reveal the human side of football, the passion, pride, and power struggles that happen beyond the pitch. Part 2: The Ronaldo vs. Ten Hag Drama. Few modern stories captured attention like Cristiano Ronaldo's fallout with Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. The tension began quietly. Disagreements over tactics, substitutions, and respect. Ronaldo, one of the greatest players ever, found himself on the bench, struggling to fit into a new system. Ten Hag, a firm disciplinarian, refused to bend the rules for any star. The world watched as Ronaldo left the pitch early, gave explosive interviews, and eventually walked away from the club that made him a legend. It was a reminder that even icons can clash with authority, and sometimes neither side wins. Part 3: Mourinho, the master of conflict. No story about player-manager fights is complete without Jose Mourinho. Loved by some, hated by others, Mourinho built his career on winning but also on confrontation. At Real Madrid, he clashed with captain Iker Casillas, a local hero and club legend. The disagreement over leadership and loyalty divided the dressing room. Casillas was benched. The media exploded. And soon, the harmony at one of the world's biggest clubs began to crumble. At Manchester United, Mourinho's relationship with Paul Pogba followed a similar script. Public comments, icy body language, and a sense that trust had vanished. When managers and superstars collide, the headlines write themselves. Part 4: The Player Power Era. In modern football, players are more powerful than ever. Social media, massive salaries, and global fame have changed the balance of control. Once upon a time, a player would never dare challenge the manager publicly. Today, a single post, a frustrated comment, or a viral clip can spark global controversy. Sometimes the player wins, the manager gets sacked, and the star remains. Other times the club sides with discipline, and the player is shown the door. It's not just about tactics anymore. It's about image, influence, and identity. Part 5: The Balotelli Show. Mario Balotelli, a player as talented as he was unpredictable. His clashes with managers became football folklore. From arguing with Roberto Mancini in training, to ignoring team rules at Manchester City, Balotelli's rebellious spirit made him both loved and feared. Mancini, who once called him like a son, even had to physically restrain him during a heated practice. Balotelli's story shows that passion and chaos often live side by side, and that sometimes a manager's toughest job isn't tactics, it's temperament. Part 6: The Fallouts That Broke Teams. When player-manager relationships collapse, the consequences ripple far beyond the dressing room. At Chelsea, the fallout between Antonio Conte and Diego Costa became public when a single text message ended their partnership. Costa was told he wasn't part of the club's plans, and the story went viral. Chelsea still won trophies, but behind the scenes, trust was gone. Then there's Mesut Ozil and Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, a relationship that began with hope and ended in silence. Ozil was frozen out of the squad, fans were divided, and questions lingered for years. These feuds remind us that even the strongest teams can fracture from within. Part 7: When Respect Turns to Rivalry. Sometimes what begins as respect turns into rivalry. Zlatan Ibrahimovic's fallout with Pep Guardiola at Barcelona was one of the most shocking. Two brilliant minds, one obsessed with control, the other with freedom. When their philosophies clashed, The relationship burned fast and bright. Zlatan later called Guardiola a philosopher with no guts. Pep, as usual, stayed silent, but the damage was done. Barcelona moved on. Zlatan moved out. Football moves quickly. But memories like these never fade. Part 8. The other side of the story. But not every conflict is toxic. Sometimes tension sparks greatness. Sir Alex Ferguson famously argued with countless players, from Beckham to Keane, yet under him Manchester United achieved historic success. Ferguson believed in discipline first, ego second. If a player couldn't respect the rules, they were out, no matter how famous. That philosophy built dynasties. And it's proof that sometimes, a fight can be the fire that forges champions. Part 9. The lessons behind the chaos. Behind every feud lies a lesson. In football, as in life, relationships are built on respect, communication, and balance. Managers carry the weight of strategy and success. Players carry the burden of performance and pride. When those two forces align, greatness follows. When they collide, history is made. The truth is, football isn't just a game of goals and trophies. It's a story of people, their emotions, flaws, and decisions under pressure. Part 10. Closing reflections. From Ronaldo's defiance to Mourinho's confrontations, from Zlatan's ego to Balotelli's chaos, these stories reveal football's most human moments. They remind us that behind every celebration there's conflict, behind every handshake a history, and behind every team, a delicate balance between control and freedom. Because in football, just like in life, success often comes from learning how to fight and when to forgive. Music swells and fades out. Narrator, final line, reflective tone. When footballers fight their managers, it's not just drama. It's the story of passion, pride, and power in the world's greatest game.